My boyfriend broke up with me for the dumbest reason after I supported him for years. But he forgot the house is in my name, and now he's living in his car. Let me preface this by saying I've been with Finn for 6 years. 6 years of what I believed was love, loyalty, and definitely a whole lot of patience. And when I say patience, I mean I've been the one supporting him financially while he bounced between passion projects. There was the YouTube channel that never took off, despite him insisting he'd be bigger than PewDiePie. The NFT craze he swore he was ahead of the curve on, spoiler, he wasn't. And his brief stint trying to make it big in crypto, where he lost most of his savings. During all of this, I held us down. Mortgage? Me. Utilities? Me. Groceries? Also me. Car payments? You guessed it, me. Finn was the dreamer, and I was? Well, I guess I was the fool who kept believing in those dreams. Every time he'd come to me with a new idea, eyes bright with enthusiasm, I'd push down my doubts and support him. This time will be different, he'd say, and like an idiot, I believed him. Things started getting weird about 2 weeks ago. Finn began acting distant, spending more time than usual on his phone and making these odd comments about needing space to grow and finding himself. I didn't think much of it at first. He tends to get philosophical whenever he's about to start another project. But then he started making these comments about the state of the house, which was new. He'd point out unwashed dishes or unfolded laundry with this weird, judgmental tone I'd never heard from him before. Then last week, he sat me down at our kitchen table after I got home from work. He had this serious look on his face that I'd only seen a few times before, usually when he was about to announce another failed venture. But what came out of his mouth made me question if I was living in some parallel universe. I think we should break up, he said. You don't do enough around the house. I actually laughed. I thought he was joking. But when he didn't crack a smile, I felt something inside me just shift. This man, who I've basically been mothering for 6 years, was accusing me of not contributing enough. When I asked him to clarify, because surely he wasn't serious, he doubled down. You never clean up after yourself. And I feel like I do all the emotional labor around here. I'm always the one who has to point out when things need to be done. Let me paint you a picture. I work insane hours to keep us afloat, while he's at home, brainstorming his next big move. Yes. Sometimes I'm too tired to do the dishes right away or fold laundry immediately. Sometimes I leave my coffee mug on the counter or forget to put my shoes away, but you know what I do? I pay every single bill that keeps a roof over our heads and food in our fridge. Meanwhile, Finn's biggest contribution to our household has been reorganizing the bookshelf by genre 3 times and throwing out my perfectly good Tupperware because it didn't spark joy anymore. This is the same man who has a meltdown if the Wi-Fi goes out for more than 5 minutes. Guess who calls the provider every single time? Me. Every birthday, holiday, or weekend activity planned by me. He won't even order takeout without asking for my input 3 times, and then still manages to get my order wrong. But here's where it gets truly bizarre. After his little breakup announcement, Finn started acting like the house was already his. He made this smug comment about how this will be a good reset for both of us, and suggested I could move back in with my mom or something. He even started talking about how he was going to turn the guest room into his office once I was gone, and how he might get a dog since there won't be anyone to complain about the hair anymore. That's when it hit me. He genuinely seemed to have forgotten, or maybe never realized, whose name is actually on the deed to this house. Hint, it's not his. Not even close. This house was my inheritance from my grandparents, and I'm the sole owner. Every mortgage payment, every repair, every utility bill, it's all in my name. I excused myself, went upstairs, and locked myself in our bedroom. I wasn't going to argue with him or try to change his mind. No, I was going to let him sit in his little delusion for as long as he wanted. Let him think he's winning this breakup. Let him think I'm packing my bags and heading out the door, because here's the thing, Finn has no idea what's coming. He has no clue that he's about to lose everything, and honestly, I can't wait to watch him realize just how badly he screwed up. So, I mentioned in my last post that my boyfriend, well, ex-boyfriend now, Finn broke up with me out of nowhere, claiming I didn't do enough around the house. This, of course, was hilarious. Because I've been the one paying for literally everything, mortgage, utilities, groceries, while he's been working on himself for the past 3 years. Oh. And let's not forget, I also cooked, cleaned, and did every chore that wasn't somehow attached to his beloved gaming setup. But here's the kicker, after the breakup, Finn acted like he owned the place. Literally. I think it took him all of 5 seconds to decide this house was his now. He didn't say it outright. But the way he carried himself made it obvious. He started lounging around like the king of a castle he hadn't even built, leaving messes everywhere and playing his games until 4 a.m. like nothing had changed. He even started telling me what I needed to pack up so I could leave in an orderly way. Meanwhile, I was just sitting there in shock, waiting to see how far this delusion would go. Spoiler, it went very far. About a week after the breakup, Finn told me he was having a friend over. This was during one of his moments where he barely looked at me, muttering something about how I needed to respect his space. Respect his space, in my house. Sure, buddy. I just nodded, thinking, okay, let's see who this friend is. When the doorbell rang, I opened it to find a woman standing there with a bright smile and a bottle of wine. Her name was Mila, and let me tell you, she was perfectly nice, polite even. But it didn't take a detective to figure out this wasn't just a friend. The way she looked at Finn. Yeah, they were very much together. Finn didn't even introduce us properly. He just breezed past me like I was the maid, giving Mila a little tour of the house, my house, and oh, did he sell it like he was some kind of real estate mogul. This is the living room, he said. I've been thinking about getting a new couch in here, something more modern, you know? This is the kitchen. I love the open layout, it's great for hosting. This is my office. It's where I do most of my work these days. I almost choked when he said that last one. Work? The man hasn't had a job since 2018. The office he was referring to is the spare bedroom I set up for him to maybe do some freelance projects, but it's mostly just where he plays Fortnite. Mila was eating it up, though. I could see her imagining herself living here, settling into a life of Pinterest perfect bliss. Meanwhile, I was standing there in the kitchen, gripping my coffee mug so hard I thought it might crack. At this point, I had two options: blow up and let them both know exactly how I felt, or play it cool and let Finn dig himself into a hole. I chose the second one. Honestly, I wanted to see how far he'd take this little charade. The entire evening, Finn acted like he'd already moved on and was just graciously allowing me to stay until I figured things out. He even had the nerve to pull me aside and say, I think it's best if we start working on a timeline for when you'll be out. No rush, of course, but Mila and I need to start planning. Planning what? A housewarming party in my living room? I just smiled and said, oh, don't worry about me. I'm handling everything. You should have seen his face, so smug. He really thought he'd won. The next morning, I made my move. While Finn was still asleep, I called a locksmith and had all the locks changed. The locksmith was in and out in under an hour. I paid him, thanked him, and sat down with a cup of tea to wait. When Finn finally woke up and strolled into the kitchen like he owned the place, I casually told him, by the way, I had the locks changed this morning. You'll need to grab your things and leave by the end of the day. You guys, the panic on his face. He went pale. What do you mean you changed the locks? You can't do that. Oh, I absolutely can, I said. This is my house, remember? It's in my name. You're not on the deed, you're not on the mortgage, and now, you're not welcome here. He tried to argue. He tried to plead. At one point, he even tried to guilt-trip me, saying, I thought you loved me. I thought we were building something together. Mila came over during all of this, probably expecting another cozy evening with her man. Instead, she got to witness Finn packing his things while I stood there, arms crossed, reminding him not to forget his gaming chair. She looked so confused and kept asking, wait. This isn't your house, Finn. He didn't even try to answer her. By the end of the day, Finn was gone. Mila was gone. I poured myself a glass of wine, sat down on the couch Finn had wanted to replace, and thought about how close I'd come to losing everything, because I was too generous with my time, my money, and my patience. Never again. Oh. And in case anyone's wondering, Finn is now couch surfing with friends. I heard from a mutual acquaintance that Mila dumped him too, when she realized he was unemployed, broke, and basically homeless. Karma's a beautiful thing, isn't it? I thought that was the end of it, but apparently, Finn wasn't done embarrassing himself yet. A few days after Finn left, I got a call from our mutual friend Caleb, who wanted to check in. I could tell from his voice that he was fishing for something, so I asked him outright, did Finn send you? Caleb hesitated but eventually spilled the beans. Turns out, Finn had been planning this breakup for months. He'd been telling everyone, friends, acquaintances, even his family, that he was about to take over the house and start a new chapter. He painted himself as the long-suffering boyfriend who had put up with my nagging for years. According to him, the house was basically his because of all the work he'd put into making it a home. I had to pause Caleb there because I nearly choked laughing. What work? The man barely did his own laundry, let alone anything to maintain the house. I asked Caleb if Finn ever mentioned the small detail about the house being in my name. He said Finn figured I'd probably just leave when he asked, and if I didn't, he'd figure it out. Oh, Finn. Sweet. Delusional Finn. Apparently, Finn was so confident that I'd roll over and give him the house that he threw himself a little victory lap before the breakup. He told people he was finally free to focus on his life and even made plans to host a housewarming party, again. In my house, the audacity. Caleb also told me something that really pissed me off. Finn had been downplaying everything I did for him. He told people I was barely paying the bills and that he was the one holding it all together. This was the guy who didn't even know how much the mortgage was every month. The lies were just so bold and bizarre that I couldn't help but laugh. I thanked Caleb for the info and started thinking about how I could wrap this up in a way that Finn would never forget. At first, I thought about just letting it go. Finn was gone, the house was mine, and I could finally move on, but then I remembered all the crap he put me through, years of emotional manipulation, financial freeloading, and now this ridiculous smear campaign. No. I wasn't going to let it slide. I decided to hit Finn where it hurt most, his ego first. I sent a polite but firm group message to our mutual friends clarifying a few things. The house was in my name, 100%. Finn never paid a dime toward the mortgage or bills. Any claims that he'd built our life together were outright lies. I kept it factual and unemotional, but I made sure to include screenshots of our old lease agreement and utility bills with my name on them. I even included a photo of the deed with only my name. I wasn't about to let him twist the narrative. Second, I reached out to a local charity that helps people furnish their homes. I donated all of Finn's leftover junk, his old desk, a couch he never sat on, and even the gaming chair he left behind in his rush to leave. They were thrilled to take it, and I was thrilled to see it go. Lastly, I decided to let Finn's parents know what had really been going on. They'd always been kind to me, and I felt like they deserved to know the truth. I didn't go into every detail, but I told them enough to make it clear that Finn's victim narrative was a complete fabrication. The group message blew up almost immediately. Most people were shocked but supportive, saying they had no idea Finn was spinning such a ridiculous story. A few of his closer friends tried to defend him, saying he was going through a lot. But I shut that down quickly. We all go through things, I said. But that doesn't give you the right to lie and steal. Finn, of course, found out about the message and called me furious. He accused me of ruining his life and said I had no right to air our dirty laundry. I told him calmly that he'd been doing that himself for months. I just corrected the record. Then I hung up and blocked him. As for his parents, they were horrified. They apologized profusely and said they had no idea Finn had been treating me so poorly. His mom even offered to pay me back for some of the bills he racked up. But I declined. I wasn't interested in money, I just wanted them to know the truth. The real cherry on top came a few weeks later when I ran into Mila at a coffee shop. She approached me, clearly embarrassed, and apologized for getting involved. She said Finn had lied to her about everything, including how the house situation was mutual. Then she told me the funniest thing I've heard all year. Finn was living in his car. Apparently, none of his friends wanted to take him in after learning the truth. And his parents weren't interested in bailing him out either. He'd burned too many bridges, and now he was reaping the consequences. I don't wish homelessness on anyone. But in this case, I can't say I feel too bad that he made his bed, or, in this case, his back seat, and now he has to lie in it. I honestly didn't think there would be a third update, but here we are. So, remember how I said Finn was living in his car? Apparently, that didn't last long, because a few days ago, I found out he'd managed to weasel his way into staying with another friend of ours. Tyler is one of those guys who tries to see the good in everyone. He's kind, generous, and maybe a little too forgiving for his own good. When I heard Finn was crashing with him, I figured it would last maybe a week before Tyler realized what kind of person he was dealing with. I was wrong. It's been nearly a month. And not only is Finn still there, he's apparently started acting like that's his place now too. I only found this out because Tyler's girlfriend, Jess, messaged me on Instagram. We're not super close, but she'd seen all the drama unfold online and decided to reach out. She said she couldn't take it anymore. Finn had been lounging around their house all day, eating their food, and refusing to contribute a single thing. He told Tyler he was between jobs, the same line he used on me for years, and that he just needed a few weeks to get back on his feet. But now it's been over a month, and he's still doing the same thing, sleeping till noon, gaming all night, and making vague promises about big plans. Jess said she tried to talk to Tyler about it, but Tyler felt bad kicking him out because Finn had been through a lot lately. I almost laughed when I read that. Yeah, he's been through a lot, all of his own making. Jess said she was reaching out because she didn't know what else to do. Finn had started inviting people over to Tyler's house, hosting little hangouts without asking, and even rearranging furniture to make the space flow better. At one point, he told Jess to relax because the energy of the house needed to evolve. If I hadn't lived with him myself, I'd think she was exaggerating. I told Jess exactly what I wish someone had told me years ago. Don't wait for him to change. He won't. Set boundaries now or he'll take over your life. She thanked me, said she'd talk to Tyler again, and that was that. Or so I thought. A few days later, I got another message from her, this time with a photo. It was Finn, in the living room, wearing one of Tyler's hoodies, feet up on the coffee table, surrounded by empty takeout containers. The caption? He says he's redecorating. I actually spit out my drink laughing, apparently. Finn had decided to paint one of the walls, without asking, because he thought the color didn't match his vibe. Tyler was at work when this happened. When he came home and saw the mess, he finally snapped. Jess told me he told Finn he had until the weekend to pack his things and go if Finn, of course, acted completely blindsided. He told Tyler that he thought they were building something together, a new creative space where they could both thrive. Tyler wasn't buying it. Jess said Finn sulked for a day, then tried to guilt-trip them with stories about how everyone had turned on him and how no one appreciated his potential. When that didn't work, he started crying. That didn't work either. By Sunday, he was gone. I didn't think much of it until yesterday, when I saw him again at the grocery store. He looked rough. Like, really rough. Hair unwashed, clothes wrinkled, and carrying a backpack that looked like it had everything he owned inside. I almost didn't recognize him. He saw me, froze, and for a second, I thought he was going to say something. But he didn't. He just looked at me with this mixture of resentment and regret before walking out of the store without buying anything, and I don't know. Something about that moment hit me harder than I expected, because for the first time, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt done, completely and utterly done. He's someone else's problem now, or maybe, for the first time, his own, and that's exactly how it should be. It's been a few months since everything went down with Finn, and honestly, I didn't think I'd ever post about him again, but I just got some news that, well, it's too poetic not to share. A friend from our old circle, someone I still grab coffee with occasionally, told me that Finn has officially moved back in with his parents. Apparently, he ran out of options after Tyler kicked him out. None of his other friends wanted to deal with him. And the creative projects he kept talking about never actually existed. So now, at 33 years old, he's back in his childhood bedroom, playing video games all day and complaining that the world doesn't appreciate real visionaries. When I heard that, I didn't even feel smug. I just felt peaceful, because for the first time in years, his chaos isn't anywhere near my life. My house feels like mine again. I've redecorated, adopted a cat, and even started dating someone new, someone who actually has a job, cleans up after himself, and doesn't need a pep talk to take out the trash. It's funny how light your life feels once you stop carrying dead weight. Looking back, I realize how much I tolerated in the name of love. How many excuses I made for someone who didn't deserve a fraction of my effort. I kept thinking I could help him, fix him, or inspire him to do better, but the truth is, you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. All you can do is save yourself, and that's exactly what I did. If you're reading this and you're in a similar situation, if you're constantly giving and getting nothing back, if you feel like you're carrying the full weight of a relationship on your own shoulders, please hear me. You deserve better. You deserve peace, partnership, and a life that doesn't drain you dry. Sometimes walking away isn't cruel. It's self-respect. And as for Finn, I genuinely hope he figures himself out someday. But that's no longer my story to tell. Mine finally has a happy ending.